into the recognition. So there's a couple of ways you can jump into recognition. So like that very first dashboard area that I showed you earlier. So in here, you have the rewards and recognition on the side here, or you can go up to the top where this little ribbon is, and you can click on that. So go to the same spot, that's a visit recognition. And as you can see, it looks and feels much like a normal social media sort of platform where you've got your feed, you've got your pretty much your, I guess, post or your share sort of box at the top here. And then on the right hand side, left hand side, you have a few little sort of bits of extra information. So on the left, you've got your avatar, so the picture of the person that's actually signed in. And you can filter it down to different things like the announcements or celebrations that are being given out. As well as that, you can actually view your team that sits underneath you. So if you're a manager, you'll have the manager at the top here with the title, and then the team that sits underneath that from there. Pretty straightforward. So you better have your own different teams across, the whole platform. So if you do have people overseas or, internally to Australia, you still have that option to be able to select people from different teams and create teams to make it a little bit more streamlined. So you're not searching through, 7,000 people to try and find the right person to recognize a reward.
Exactly.
How do these, so how does that information get fed into your platform in terms of the team structure and,
So that'll be all pretty much set up from our end. So we do all that implementation for you. So we just go through with your listing and you just got to give us where they see it maybe in a team or group. And then we can organize that and set that up for you in the back end.
We work pretty closely with you.
Wouldn't that be something that may not be real time then? Because if between today and tomorrow, there are off changes.
Well, there's two different methods. Oh, sorry.
Well, there might be
apologies.
Admin access. Do you know if there's an admin access for that, Sahel, for a manager's position? Or is that another admin access on top of that?
Yeah, there's two methodologies that we use for this, right? Well, technically it's one methodology, but we look at it as two. So first thing is that it plugs into your HRIS system. So we create an API between your HRIS and your environment. So what that means is it's technically live, right? That admin access drives from your HRIS. So if you remove users or add users, if they're added to your HRIS system, it plugs it automatically into this. Now, when I say we work closely with you, or what Jake was saying is that second methodology is we work closely with you to make sure that those integrations are right. So sometimes, you might have an individual that sits between two teams, or you might have someone that has a direct report but has an adjacent, kind of angle, if that makes sense. So we want to make sure that those integrations are right, and if there's anything that goes pear-shaped, we usually work with you to make sure that everything's looking pretty clean to the best of the degree of your understanding and our understanding. And we can talk about what that implementation looks like, and obviously there's a time frame to implement like that, but to put it in the most simplistic way, it just talks to your HRIS system. So, one of the things that you could probably see scrolling across on the right-hand side there are some upcoming birthdays with some names there. So some of them don't have any birthdays because we just plugged them in today, but you'll see, I think I'm the next one across. So what this does is it can pick this up organically from the environment itself, or it can pick this up from your HRIS system. So you can pick up birthdays or tenures, if somebody's been in the business for a certain amount of time. So it's basically creating prompts for you to celebrate and recognize people. And that's the easiest way to make it a real life experience. That's the easiest way to do so. And I think even when Jake will jump into a lot of it, but there's 4 basic elements that you can see at the top there: recognize, reward, celebrate, and announce. So those 4 elements are broken into those pieces, so they allow for different functionalities to happen and kind of cater to different things. But you have the capability to recognize whole teams as well as individuals. And you can recognize, peer-to-peer as well as up-down as well, like a manager-down, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or you can recognize your manager if you want to as well, but rewarding from that perspective comes from a top-down level. Does that make sense?
And it could be rewarding can also be like a colleague to another colleague.
Yep.
Irrespective of working within the same department or not.
Correct.
You can still search on other ones, but obviously to break it down to make it easier, we start off by grouping into teams. That way it just makes it a lot more easy to manage rather than if you start typing one name and you're getting, a few thousand names pop up, it makes it a little bit more difficult, that's all.
Yeah, no. I think what Sophia was asking was, can peer-to-peer reward? Yes, they can. So peer-to-peer rewarding is absolutely functional in there. It just depends on how you want to set it up. So the question, why I say how you want to set it up, is that coming off your company budget or is that coming off their own personal expense? Let's say I want to give Jake a reward, or I want to give Jake a gift. Now, I don't want to, that's not a company expense, that's my own expense because he's my friend or I recognize it's his birthday. I want to give him a $100 gift card. I can absolutely do that through my own efforts. I can give it through him through here. Now, if you want to line that up with company cards and company budget, we can do that as well.
Right, okay. The way I'm thinking about this is, say, if, of course, we have to restrict some layers and potentially the way I'm thinking, at least to start with, could be manager, employee, leader for anybody within their business vertical.
So what we can do...
That's something we start off with. But if we were to move to, because I do know of organizations where it can be peer-to-peer, and those companies, it's like, it gets accounted to the specific individual who is rewarding to their individual department budget.
Absolutely. So what happens then, on the left-hand side, you can see Jake's dashboard, right? So it's got, what will happen underneath your team, there'll be something called an approval center. So that approval center is where, let's say, a peer-to-peer recognition applies, then because that's coming out of a company budget, it has to be approved by the manager. So that approval center, so what will happen is that the manager will get a notification saying that, Jake is trying to recognize Hannette for whatever reason. Do you approve this transaction? And the manager will say yay or nay, and then Jake will get a notification saying that your transaction has been approved, recognition passed on. So it actually holds it from a peer-to-peer. But what we do from a managerial perspective is we allocate budget to, or we can, depending on the organization, but we can allocate budget to certain individuals within the organization, usually execs and managers, right? So those execs and managers, you can actually see the level of budget that they're holding, how much is being consumed, how often they're consuming it, and that all sits in the analytics. And obviously can be topped up if need to be. So that is the way that we see budgetary usage. And it can also come from company cards as well. So there's the capability to add multiple payment methods. So if you've got company cards, you can add them in from an exec perspective. And for a normal staff member, they can just have their own personal credit card that they can put in there to utilize that rewards. And if they want to pay for something themselves, they can do that. And that excludes it from being a recognition from your budgetary. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's how it all ties together. Complex, but it all works in the back end. Yeah. So I'll let Jake jump into how recognition actually works.
So from there, so you can see the activity up here. Who you like to recognise? This is where you can type in the name of the colleague or employee you want to either recognise, reward, celebrate, or announce. So at the moment it's on recognise, as you can see, and if I click on reward, you can see it changes to reward because now it's coloured. The little arrow points down towards the reward. So it's pretty straightforward. I'll start with recognise the how. So you may not see the drop down boxes that I do get because just the way, unfortunately, the way the screen's been shared, you may not see it. But as you can see here, you're recognizing Sahel, what I want to recognize him for today. Good work on that presentation. And basically this all comes back to now with your company values. So this is what you set. So you won't be able to see this drop down, unfortunately, most likely with the screen sharing, but with the values that you saw earlier on in that main dashboard, they're in a list underneath here. So this is fully custom to your company values. From that, you can select which one. And then this other one here, there's a drop down that says everyone. This also has a selection process of where if you want to send it to, if you want to send it to someone, but see if everyone can see it, or if you only your team can see it, or if it's just private. So this is where you can set your privacy restrictions on who can see that post. So it defaults to everyone, my team, or I can send it directly just to, say, Sahel himself, and no one else will see that.
So a big part of the recognition that we see is aligning it to your company values, right? So at the end of the day, we don't want recognition just to be willy-nilly and aligned to nothing. It needs to be something that's core to your business, and that's the importance behind it, really, right? So what we perceive the platform to be is beyond a recognition and rewards platform, but also a re-emphasis on your culture and your core business. So, you know, every company in the world, well, most companies in the world, I shouldn't say every, but most companies in the world have missions, values, goals, and that's really what we want to align this recognition and the platform to be as a whole to that for you. So again, if you've got core things that you want to plug in there, you know, hard work, diligence, ingenuity, loyalty, trust, whatever that might be for you, we can customize that for you. So it's fully tailored and fully catering to your needs.
Sure.
Yeah. Jake?
Yep, so like I said, you can select what privacy you want to set it as. So if you just want to see the whole team can see it, or just privately, or we can say everyone. So anyone that's got recognition can view it. You can set that as well. As well as that, if you want to add a photo to make a personalized touch, you can also add another photo as well too from that.
You can actually add GIFs and videos and all sorts of things. So to make it a little bit more fun and interactive. So
yeah, let me have a look. What do I have as an image wise? I don't have anything. Let me have a look if you've got anything image wise that I still have on here from my traveling. We can't show the photo and anything on there for you, but yeah, you can assign a photo to it and then submit that, which will then now put it on the activity in the middle here for your recognition. So you can see here, Jake has recognized you for ingenuity, and you can see that you can also like it. And on top of that, if you're someone else, you can also send a gift to that as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can also
that's to recognize.
Yeah, you can post. So as you can see below that as well, it's got post to public comment. So, you know, like a LinkedIn feed or a Facebook feed, I have the capability to also, as a peer or as a manager or someone within the business, also recognize that individual above and beyond comment on that recognition that's already been done. So it's a nice little kind of feed to make sure that it's a kind of cohesive and galvanizing of the teams that are involved in the platform.
Okay.
So reward. So this is where you obviously can start doing your gift cards and rewarding with some form of gift. So I'll put in mail again. Select the name. So there's a little bit more detail involved in this one. Once again, unfortunately, you won't be able to see the drop down of this, but basically we've got a whole list of different gift cards underneath this when you select down. So everything from like Deliveroo to David Jones to things like the Iconic, App Store, you know, Woolworths, Coles, all kinds of range of different gift cards. So this is all set and nominated by yourself, so you can actually set what you want for parameter-wise as a reward. So it may not be a gift card. It may be that, you know, you might give an early finish or a late start to a colleague for their good work, or, you know, it could be that, you know, a free coffee or whatever be the case. It's completely custom to what you want to be able to reward and give out to the employees. And then from that, you put in a value of that. So, you know, if it's going to be $100, $50 gift card, you can nominate what value. and of course use stored cards. So use stored card as the payment method for that, and then why you're giving them the reward. Once again, align it to a value of the company. And this one's purely private because obviously it is a monetary value. So a lot of that we don't tend to, I guess, portray in the actual activity. So no one can actually see that, and it can cause a bit of, I guess, internal rift if someone's saying that you've been giving away $150 worth of gift cards to someone. So we try and keep that as private, but you can still give some for that. And then, of course, once again, you can actually set a photo if you need to. But we can submit that, and I'll be able to see that, and so Hal will be able to see that, but no one else will be able to see that besides the management who are approving that.
Sure.
So that's the reward. Celebrate is the next one along, which is celebrating milestones. You know, it could be a birthday, it could be whatever you decide to celebrate, essentially. So it's a very straightforward process once again. Type in the name of the person you want to send the celebration to. Why you're celebrating. Once again, this list here you can't see, unfortunately, but it has birthday, work anniversary, new baby, hit sales target, getting married. Obviously, that's once again fully custom to what you would like to put in there as a celebration. Not everyone's going to have it on there like getting married or a new baby, but it's entirely up to you what you want to set there as a celebration.
These are just milestones that you feel that are, again, pivotal to your business. You might want a whole suite of them, including new baby, anniversary, engagement, wedding, completely up to you. But yeah, again, we can customize what that is for you.
Okay.
Yeah. And then from that, you've got what are you celebrating today? We can do just because. And you can also attach an e-card with that as well. So for instance, we just go, well, happy retirement.
Happy retirement. You're retiring me today. Okay.
Because you hit sales, so you can retire today.
Yeah.
And once again, it'll come up in here, and you can see the activity from that as well too. So you can then once again filter down into those particular areas. So if I just want to go all celebrations, we can see all the ones that have been given out underneath here.
Right.
Yeah. And the very last one is announce. So this is where you can make a general announcement across the company or your team. So for instance, you know, we got here just an example, all snakes in the pig machine are now free. It might be, you know, lunch, everyone's done good work this week. I've supplied a lunch in the lunchroom, go help yourself. And then basically you can align it to, once again, value and who you want to send it to. So it could be the everyone, could be just your team. And you can add a photo still to that as well. So.
And that drop down around whether it's my team or the entire organization, the groups can be defined, yeah?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So it's full custom to what it is.
Yeah. So if it's selected to my team, it will just show, it will just send it out to the individuals that are allocated into your team structure that we spoke about before. This is a really good tool as well, and we've seen this used in multiple different ways, not only to make general announcements, but to also align to company goals.
Sure.
And one of the things was really fascinating. We saw with a radiology company, what the director of the radiology company did was his team did really well for 1 month, and they did, I think, 38 or something like that CT scans. So he's like, look, you guys did a fantastic job. You know, this is the most CT scans that you've ever done, really well done. But I reckon you can do 45. So he said, look, I'm going to make an announcement that if you guys do 45, I'll take the whole CT team out for a seafood banquet. So they were striving to hit 45. And the really good thing was that, you know, every time they did a new CT, you know, they were going, oh, we've got another one, okay, 10 today, oh, only got so many much more to go. So it was really good to see that sort of engagement happen on the platform, and driving something that is, I guess, low monetary value from a seafood banquet perspective, and really aligned to be orientated to have ROI and benefits to your company as a whole. So you can use these announcements and the custom reward capability, as well as the reward capability as a whole, to align to certain company goals and initiatives and programs that you might have in place. It's just a really, really useful little tool that way. So just thought I'd throw that in there as well.
Sure, sure.